consumption, encourage students to propose improvements. One of which that I believe personally is very interesting is the gardening and composting. So if we are able to encourage students to have 1 hour activity, this activity would be to compost or give a homework or a teamwork back home to do with some friends, to compost some products and bring the compost to school, and let's see who can compost better, and make some kind of a really superficial competition that will not be taken too seriously, but they will learn a lot. Because I believe, of course, having students learn things while doing things, it may be more effective in making them understand the topic and care about it more, since they have to, physically be doing something. Another way is to use technology and simulations. Of course, with the artificial intelligence increase these days, we have virtual reality, so you can use the VR to simulate climate scenarios such as the impact of rising sea levels or deforestation. So if we have the ability to give them the VR glasses, and by wearing the glasses, we can put them in a simulation where the rising sea level has increased to its maximum, and forests became deforested and they became like this and that. And so when a person sees it in a way that it is very realistic, I think that it will be able to have a emotional effect, and students will be wanting to make a change more, so it can increase motivation as it can seem very, very realistic. So other than that, we have interactive applications to employ applications and online platforms to calculate carbon footprints or simulate climate change models, and digital storytelling. So to encourage students to create videos or infographics about climate solutions, telling the students that they will be presenting them in front of a group of teachers or a group of friends and group of other students. I think that it will be very helpful because the more active that the students are, the more that it is not just a book to read and learn and then close the book, the more that we can make sure that the idea and the motivation is worked on as teachers. So moving on, we can also promote action through local community projects, collaborating with local environmental organizations to engage students in real-world climate initiatives such as cleanup drives or tree planting campaigns. We have to build community partnerships to host guest lectures or workshops with environmentalists and climate scientists. Again, we can teach problem solving through sustainability challenges, so to challenge the students to develop innovative solutions to real-world climate problems, such as how do we reduce waste? How do we improve energy efficiency, not only in your home, but in school? As well as encouraging participation in competitions like the Eco School programs or national STEM challenges, which will be very interesting. And of course, we have to foster climate literacy through storytelling and media. So we have books, we have films. We can use these to introduce students to book documentaries, films, exploring climate change and its impacts. There are an example of it is the Lorax by Dr. Zeus. I don't know if you had the chance to watch it, maybe you have. And An Inconvenient Truth as well, very interesting. Definitely a climate literacy storytelling amazing initiative, very interesting. We have creative writing, so encourage students to write essays, short stories, poems, imagining a future shaped by climate actions or inaction. So we can also incorporate school-wide sustainability practices because we do have a responsibility to do so in our schools. So establish classroom policies that reflect climate best practices such as recycling bins for paper and plastics, energy saving habits like turning off the lights, computers, encouraging reusable water bottles and lunch containers, creating a green team of students, advocating for sustainable practices throughout the school, and so on. As it is showing here in the picture, recycle bins. I think that this can be implemented very easily in all the schools in a very simple way, does not need much energy. Maybe to cooperate with a recycling company that you can then have this thing where you get they take the products inside of the trash and they recycle them according to its need. That would be a nice collaboration and very climate friendly. So also connect to global movements, align lessons with global environmental movements like Earth Day, Fridays for Future, or World Environment Day to highlight the importance of collective action. So instead of having a normal class on Earth Day, we can have an Earth Day class in school, so we can make the students learn more about topics related to Earth, how to save the Earth, we don't have a planet B, and so on, to encourage participation in virtual forums or pen pal programs with students in other countries working on climate initiatives. So now I will be showing you a video. The video is going to be an sample of a website that can be used by teachers. This website is, I believe, made by NASA, and it is about everything related to the Earth. So an example is this website, which can be entered with students on Earth Day through their digitals. Because there are not only interesting games, but also interesting information. So let's take a look. By the way, the video does not have a sound, so you won't be listening to anything. Just watch and enjoy. So you can see here all the information. What can trees tell us about climate change? And then if we click on weather and climate, we go to the brief overview. We have some, 10 interesting facts. What is a permafrost? How do we know climate is changing? We have all of these different kind of what NASA missions are doing right now, a guide to climate change for kids. So you can download this guide, you can have it, print it. To each and every question, there is a click here more to learn more about the topic. And so you get a short answer with infographics that are very, very interesting. I think students would love that. It's climatekits.nasa.gov. And so this is a website that is very public and can be entered by any teacher. And it has a lot of interesting information, not only interesting information, but also very interesting activities and questions and answers. So let's move on. So now, the importance of local context, tailoring climate education to community needs, understanding and adapting climate education to address local challenges. So why does the local context matter? So if you remember in the video that we watched earlier, it was mentioned that it is very important that the way that in your local area, the situation might be different from another. And so the local context matters. We took that lesson from here, and now we are learning more about it. So relevance, engagement, and impact. Relevance. Students connect more deeply with climate issues when they see how it impacts their own community. Localized examples foster active participation and curiosity, therefore engagement. And the impact is addressing local problems, encouraging tangible actions that benefit the immediate environment. So to adapt climate education to local context, we can identify local climate challenges. So is it flooding? Is it drought? Is it deforestation? Is it a mix of urban pollution? All of them together. So collaborate with local experts and organizations to gather the data, integrate community practices. So highlight traditional practices that align with sustainability. So rainwater harvesting is one of the examples. Study indigenous knowledge and its role in environmental conservation. and focus on relevant solutions. So an example could be promoting water conservation in arid areas or planting native species to restore biodiversity. We have many, many different ways. Now for the community-centered learning strategies, we have fieldwork and local projects. So students can conduct a water quality test of a nearby river. A community partnership would be to collaborate with an NGO or even a local government for workshops and practical lessons. Storytelling and local narratives to share stories of community members who are climate activists or innovators. Also, we have examples of tailored climate education. So some examples of tailored climate education would be urban settings, so focus on waste management, air pollution, and urban greening by recycling campaigns in cities, for example. So if we want to focus on a urban setting, if we want to focus on a rural setting, we would have to address sustainable agriculture, water conservation, and deforestation. Examples are teaching crop rotation methods in drought-prone areas. So for coastal areas, we can focus on the marine ecosystems, rising sea levels, and coastal protection. Example is the mangrove restoration project in Southeast Asia, which we did discuss from before. What is the benefits of localized climate education? So empowers communities to take ownership of their environmental challenges, encourages culture appreciation and the preservation of sustainable traditions, builds practical skills that lead to immediate and long-term impacts. Very, very important and very beneficial. We have here an example. So identifying effective climate change education strategies, a systematic review of the research done by Martha C. Monroe, Richard R. Plate, Annie Oxrart, Alison Bowers, and Willandia Chavis. So this is a research that has been done. In fact, it is a systematic review of a research. And what we can learn from this research is that what is the effectiveness of teaching students localized education regarding climate change or a generalized education? So if you teach the students based on the local area that they're living in, it has shown in the green, as you can see, that the student engagement was 90%, so 30% higher from the 60% given by the generalized education. And again, it was higher in the knowledge retention effectiveness metrics. So it was 85% in comparison to the generalized education that was only 60%. And we have the behavior change, a shocking 80%, while the generalized education had only 40%. So it's literally double the number. And this is basically what this research tried to figure out. And this is why today we are highlighting the importance of having localized and not only generalized education for students. So another subtopic that we said we're going to mention is critical thinking skills through climate debates and discussions. What is critical thinking? So critical thinking is the ability to analyze, evaluate, and synthesize information objectively and systematically to form a well-reasoned judgment or decision. It involves questioning assumptions, identifying biases, and considering multiple perspectives before arriving at a specific conclusion. So, the characteristics of critical thinking are as follows: reflection, analysis, reasoning, evaluation, interpretation. Key characters. Now, why is it essential when it comes to climate education? Remember, guys, we are specifically talking about critical thinking in climate education and nowhere else. Why is it essential? So, climate issues are multifaceted. What does that mean? It means it is interconnected. So we have factors related to science, economics, politics, and ethics for climate change. Therefore, critical thinking helps the students navigate these complexities, understanding each one on its own, being able to interconnect and disconnect them whenever they want to. Promote informed decision-making. So students learn to assess climate policies, renewable energy technologies, and lifestyle changes to make evidence-based decision rather than just a decision with no evidence. Counteracts misinformation. So with critical thinking, students are able to understand that climate crisis is plagued by lots of misinformation. There is a lot of denial and there's a lot of misinformation. It is very important for students to be able to have critical thinking skills to differentiate what is a fact, what is a myth, and what are the credible sources that can be used in order to learn about climate change. So moving on, it is very important to encourage problem solving. So climate change requires innovative solutions. Critical thinkers can develop creative strategies to mitigate, adapt its impacts. Foster global citizenship. So by understanding the diverse perspectives and ethical implications, students become responsible citizens who can advocate for sustainable practices. Prepares for leadership. Leaders in climate action require the ability to analyze data in order to, of course, communicate effectively and make tough decisions under uncertainty. Before we start, we have an upcoming activity. But before we start the activity, I would like to give everyone a little break. We will have a 10-minute break. So right now it's 3:57. We will be back at 4:07, let's say. Let's have a mini break. Let's keep the session being recorded so we don't have to cut the session. And everyone can have a little break. If you want to grab a water or if you want to do something, you can do it. So we will be back very soon, just a 10-minute break. I will right here go to the meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't seen. Excellent presentation so far. Interesting video. John, thank you very much. Aysu, thank you. Hocam videoyu proje için mi hazırladınız? Yok, biz bu video hazırlamadık. Video UN tarafından hazırladık. Zaten biz orada disclaimer'ı yazdık ve onun için bilgi verdik. Biz kendimizi bu video hazırlamadık. Bunu çok açık söylüyorum. Ama video o kadar güzel, her şey çok güzel bir şekilde anlattığı için ben de bu video eklemek istedim. Thank you for your questions. By the way, guys, you can ask in Turkish, you can ask in English. It doesn't. Can our student join to this initiative? Of course. We are now giving just a example of different initiatives and different things. Thank you, Rahime, for your question. We are having different initiatives, and of course we are trying to give you ideas to integrate in your schools where you can make initiatives, and then maybe one day we can make an initiative together. Sevcan, you got your answer. Thank you very much for the question. Hazal, hocam daha yavaş konuşur musunuz? Ses eko yapıyor. I'm very, very sorry. Just saw that, but I think we fixed it throughout the webinar. Hocam, when we'll be asking our questions. So let's give a 10-minute break. We will come back at 4:10. The session will stay being recorded. And if you have any questions, I will take your questions right after. You can just write them now in the box and I will take them after the break. Thank you guys very much. So 10-minute, very well-deserved break. We will be back. Okay, so we are back and we do have some, I believe, debate answers. Okay, so the debate question was basically, should developed countries bear more responsibility for combating climate change? So I will go through your answers. We have here Sevcan Erish. Yes, although they make up a small portion of the global population today, countries such as the United States, many European countries are responsible for a large share of cumulative carbon emissions. That's very, very true. Agree, but also developed countries have greater financial, technological, institutional capacity to address climate change. They're better equipped to invest in clean energy solutions, develop climate resilient infrastructure, and support innovation in sustainable technology. Thank you so much, Fatima.